This is Earl Nightingale. I'd like to tell you about the strangest secret in the world. Some years ago, Albert Schweitzer, the great doctor and Nobel Prize winner, was being interviewed in London, and a reporter asked him, "Doctor, what's wrong with men today?" The great doctor was silent for a moment, and then he said, "Men don't think."
You said, Roseanne Barr, if corporations are people, then Goldman Sachs needs to be executed for premeditated mass murder, terrorism, mayhem, and grand larceny.
Yes, absolutely.
Would this be your platform then, running for president?
It's part of it. The part of my platform is, of course, that the guilty must be punished, and that we can no longer, let our children see their guilty leaders getting away with murder. Because it teaches children that, they don't have to have any morals, and as long as they have guns and are bullies, that they'll win, and I don't think that's a good message. I do say that I am for the return of the guillotine, and that is for the worst of the guilty. I first would allow the guilty bankers to pay, the ability to pay back anything over $100 million personal wealth, because I believe in a maximum wage of $100 million. And if they're unable to live on that amount, then they should, go to the re-education camps, and if that doesn't help, then be beheaded.
Oh, hi there. I'm Stephen from Solyndra. We hear you're looking for green energy upstarts in which to invest some of your free stimulus money. I feel that our business would make a perfect match for your green jobs initiative. Why? Well, let's see, silly. Here we see another company busy making solar panels and other weird shit. That's so much work. We were all like, yeah, that would be cool, but it costs money to buy equipment and hire qualified employees. So this is how Solyndra came to be. Hey, do you want to get paid by the government for doing absolutely nothing and squandering away taxpayer dollars?
Yeah.
Sure. We've created the appearance of a genuine operating company through which you can launder your riches. While Solyndra may seem like the perfect name for a solar energy company, it's actually a clever acronym. It stands for shit out of luck, you Nazi dirtbag Republican assholes. Now that's the Solyndra advantage.
It's time for Fully Threaded Radio.
It is Fully Threaded Radio, voice of the FCH sourcing network. If you buy, sell, import, or manufacture industrial fasteners, or if you simply enjoy conversation with a decidedly mechanical slant, then this is the Internet Talk Radio show for you. A special welcome today to all our listeners in the non-ferrous fastener community, and also to everyone who's put the show on a mobile device and is listening to us on the road, in the air, or elsewhere. It's good to have you all with us, and thanks everybody for clicking in. This is episode 33, and we're publishing on October 13th, 2011. Eric Dudas here, and I'm joined by the co-host of Fully Threaded. He's a man who's encountered institutional socialism on 4 continents now, and a guy whose command and blinding speed with fastener inventory causes many to refer to him as the Chuck Norris of the online fastener game. He's Brian Musker. Well, Brian, ready to occupy the FTR studio for a little while?
Yeah, but not with Chuck Norris, thank you. I don't need anyone bouncing me off the walls, thanks.
Right.
But maybe I'll get some free pizza out of the deal.
Yeah, well, there's a thought. And if you have a thought, then you're one thought ahead of most of the people occupying the various cities and fast food restaurant bathrooms these days.
Okay. Right. Well, we won't go into that one, I don't think.
Well, there's no avoiding it, my friend.
And I think you're right. It's been fascinating watching the coverage and what's going on across the country and the people we talk to every day trying to keep things going building things, and the people who are complaining all seem to be interested in nothing but tearing everything down.
Yeah, and all the while texting and tweeting about it on their smartphones. It's wild.
Yeah.
Well, there's lots going on everywhere, and that includes in the fastener world.
Yes. Some big fastener headlines to talk about today. So why don't you set it up?
I thought you'd never suggest it. We have another solid lineup for you on episode 33, folks, and it includes some big news. Many of you have already heard about the return of Heads and Threads. Some of you have actually received a sales fax that the reconstituted company released earlier this week. Well, Mike McNulty has some details on that story in his Fastener News report, including a conversation with Jason Sandefur of globalfastenernews.com. Mike has also been thinking about the Wall Street occupiers and the spin-offs, and you'll want to hear what he has to say on that topic, too.
Yeah, I would think so.
Next, we'll be joined by Southeastern Fastener Association President Joanne Bialas. We promised a big announcement from her at the end of the last episode, and Joanne delivers on that with a bombshell announcement. This is the first time we've been honored with an exclusive premiere like this on the show, and I think she's going to surprise more than a few people with this news. On our first feature segment, we talked to Lou Boyd of the Olander Company. Lou's a 40-year veteran of the industry, and he's going to share his observations on some market changes in the Silicon Valley, which is the area that he serves and he's seen over the last couple of years. I think some of the trends he describes apply to other sectors and areas of the country as well, so this is a very informative segment. Then, in a segment that can only be described as epic, Brian and I glimpse into the Fastener Odyssey that is the life of Fastener poet and philosopher, Mr. Charlie Accetta. Charlie wrote a post to the Fastener blog recently entitled, A Voice from Fastener No Man's Land, and we use that as a centerpiece of a far-reaching conversation that stands out among segments on this program for several reasons. Love it or hate it, you won't want to miss this one, folks.
Yeah, and I wish we could have kept the recorder going for the conversation after the segment too. That would have made some really interesting radio.
Yeah, true. But possibly on a show more geared towards the world at war or maybe great moments in the history of revolution.
Yeah, I think so.
I think we did a good job of keeping it moderately fastener related, though, for the parts that we have on the show.
Yeah, I think that's right.
The title sponsors of today's edition of Fully Threaded Radio are Stelfast, soon opening their newest branch location in Los Angeles. Stelfast, service you deserve, people you trust. And Beacon Fasteners and Components. Check out their new line of top quality machine screws today. Beacon Fasteners. Nice threads. Well, we received some very positive responses to the Fastener Technology International story that came out last week, Bri. Thanks, everyone who emailed and mentioned it. It makes us feel pretty good. We called it jokingly a pictorial. Of course, there was only the one photo there, but got a couple of funny comments about that one. Had the old rusty bolt bottle there. And
Actually, we received a fairly good amount of overall response back from the last episode.
Yeah, that's true. Well, it's, I think, a little bit of a push you get every time there's some good media, and that was what we got in this case. If you haven't seen the article yet, folks, please check out the latest Fastener Technology International magazine, or you can see a link to it off of the Fully Threaded Facebook page.
Yes, and then you have to try and pick out me from the wall, okay?
Yeah, you didn't have a good choice of shirts that day, Bri.
No, I wasn't till I saw the photo that I realized I'd made a rather major error.
Well, get out there and check it out on the Facebook page, everybody, if you haven't seen it. And please use the Facebook page to communicate with us, or you can always send us email at the address ftr@fullythreaded.com. Get with us via Twitter at the Twitter handle fullythreaded. You know, speaking of emails, I got one last week from Fastener Firebrand Greg Wiener. He's the big boss over there at Quick Screws International. He did a couple segments with us previously, and we talked about it, and he's going to be joining us periodically next season as we cover the exciting developments in the political season, the election season. And, man, I can't wait to hear what we come up with on these segments.
Well, we received a bit of commentary after his segments in our when we had them before too. It stirred a few people up.
Yeah, that would be putting it politely.
Right.
Some people don't know a good thing when they see it, Bri.
No, I know that. Thank God, actually.
And speaking of good things, I hope you're all out there using FastenersClearinghouse.com, folks, whenever the need comes up to find a hard-to-locate fastener inventory item. You and your team are welcome to do so anytime at no charge. The website is FastenersClearinghouse.com. It's the FCH sourcing network, and we'd be very, very glad to have you listing your inventory up there with us as well. And get with us through the website anytime. We're easy to reach, and we're happy to work with you. And on that topic, Brian, you've been working on a few things, building it out and so forth for showing at the NIFS show coming up. Isn't that true?
Yes. We've been working on a sort of a Twitter-like interface into the searches, so that people can, members particularly, can look at searches real time as they come through the system from all over the world, actually. And the view sort of is that down the stream a little bit, that as you're looking at these, then if you see one search coming through for something that you have, then you could click on it and reply to it. Okay, so I've got that.
Very cool. And we're going to be showing that at the show, correct?
Yep.
Then the other thing that's going on, taking up a little bit of time lately, is getting SEFA and Pac West into the new program. How's that coming?
Yeah, well, technically it's all done, but the hard part now is to really communicate with all the people and let them know, what they're being offered through FCH and the SEFA or Pac West, so they can take advantage of it.
Right. So if you're a member of one of those two organizations, well, hopefully we'll talk to you out at the Vegas show, but you might be getting a call from Sue or Lynn or myself in the very near future, walking you through all of the amenities of FCH membership, and we're going to be happy to welcome you all aboard.
And make sure that if you are at the NIFS that you do come to see us. And if you want to discuss it with us, we'll be happy to spend some time, because I'm sure there'll be other people interested as well.
That's absolutely right. And that will be in booth 151 this year. We thought we were going to be kitty corner to the NFDA hospitality booth. That was the plan, but I looked at the show layout the other day. Actually, it was right after episode 32, and all that got changed. So,
right. I think last year we had a column in the middle of our booth, so which is rather hard to organize our way around, but still.
Well, I take the blame for that one. I think that was just pure procrastination in that case. It was like the last booth left on the show floor,
I remember arriving there and looking and thinking, oh my God, what do we do with this?
Right. Not only that, but it was next to the Korean pavilion, and they had these like giant 20-foot build-out booths, and so we were like in a cave over there. It was kind of funny. In hindsight.
Right, but it worked all right. We made it work.
That's true. We always have a good show, and
the show's a good time for us. It's busy, but it's good.
Yeah, they're long days, but getting to meet everybody is just a wonderful thing. Some of our friends who are going to be there, I have it on good authority that this year there's actually going to be some carpeting in the Fidelis Fastener booth, so that remains to be seen. They're in the same aisle as we are, in the 100 aisle.
Wow.
And, so that'll be pretty cool.
Okay, I'm going to go and see Rob then. I can especially rub my feet around on his carpet.
I don't know if that's because he's going to be sleeping there or not, overnight. We'll have to talk to him about that when we get there. But he's right down the aisle also from our friends at Fastener Technology International. So Mike McNulty and Rob and us will all be in kind of a line. Then a little bit farther down the first aisle, in the very prestigious booth number 103, right next to the American Fastener Journal, Beacon Fasteners and Components.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Wow.
Looking down their nose at us, no doubt.
It's just down the aisle a bit.
And in case you're wondering where you have to go to pick up this year's Stealthfast Monkey, the color of which is still a huge matter of suspense in the industry, we'll head over to booth 809 to find out the answer to that once you're out there in Vegas. Well, we've got a lot to look forward to between now and then, including the rest of episode 32. So why don't we get with that? Hey, I saw a really cool video come across the transom via Twitter, and there's a great video on the website AmericanManufacturing.org. It's from an ABC News segment, and the title is "A House Built Entirely from U.S. Parts Could Be the Answer to Creating Jobs in America." We got a link to this over on the Fully Threaded Facebook page in case you didn't see this. What a very fascinating, timely video. You saw this one, didn't you, Bray?
Yes, I did. And actually, I thought it was really, really interesting. The view of it is that it is possible, if you set yourself to it, to build a house using components really only sourced within the United States. And I guess the overall view is that if you tried to source just 5% more of the raw materials from U.S. companies, you'd create 250,000 jobs.
Right. Well, this is definitely worth a look, folks. If you haven't seen it, we put a link to it up on our Facebook page, on the Fully Threaded Facebook page. Saw this originally come across on Twitter, and a lot of people were actually talking about it today while I was calling around. The Made in America or Manufactured in America movement is definitely got some mind share out there, and this has really got to piss off all the Occupy Wall Street types.
Right, yeah, because everything just comes down from heaven for them, I guess.
Yeah, right. The one thing that they seem to have trouble finding domestically was J-bolts. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did, and I did a quick search on Fasteners Clearinghouse for domestic J-bolts.
Oh, cool. What'd you find?
Oh, I found 3. It's fair to say it's only 3 listings out of, but there are 2 companies, Bay Standard and American Imperial, both of whom list domestic J-bolts.
Why am I not surprised?
Yeah, I know. and that only represents the companies that have listed. There could be lots of other FCH members who have these, who didn't list them. So they should immediately take note of that and make sure they list their domestic stuff with us. I mean, people actually do use that as one of the search criteria. You know, they want to buy you domestic stuff, and we have that really built into. I've had it built into FCH for years, actually.
Well, it's the beauty of full text search.
Yeah.
I was thinking about Reshoring Initiative founder Harry Mosier as I was watching that, and I also noticed that there was a blurb that came across Global Fastener News a couple days back, mentioning that he'll be appearing at the New England Fastener Distributors Association meeting, and that's on November 3rd.
Oh, okay.
And anybody out in that part of the country who hasn't seen Harry talk, it's definitely worth your while, especially if you're thinking a little bit about domestic manufacturing.
Yeah, he puts a good case for it.
Yeah, and it's similar to what they say in this video. I mean, they do a little bit of the quick math in the video, and that's what Harry's all about, thinking that through. Now, I did notice, in fairness, that the steel products in this whole home were really where the pain points are. In other words, the foreign steel, there's definitely some savings to be had when you're looking at the foreign steel.
Yep. You only got to go to these home supply places and realize that even particle board's made in China now, but you can actually get particle board made in the US. You can get drywall made in the US too. And that's what they set about to do. So it just takes a bit of effort. And, you know, even if you decide to source a percentage within the US, you can make a big difference to the job market.
Well, that's what it sounds like. And they're trying to make the case in this video. So, again, well worth a watch. And we've got another domestically created commodity that you've been playing with, and this comes back to the NIFS show. You actually downloaded the iPhone app that helps you out navigating the Vegas show this year, didn't you?
Right. And, you know, I got these emails from Susan Hurley, and she sent them out, and I downloaded this application. It's called Guidebook. It's a sort of a generic application, so it suits Androids and Blackberries and iPhones. It doesn't necessarily fit in with the, you know, user interface correctly, but it's actually quite good. And in my mind, so you load this application, and then when you start it, it says, oh, you haven't downloaded, you know, an event. So you can either download a trade show. NIFS comes up as one of them. When you click it, downloads just the NIFS. And then you've got the ability to look at lists of exhibitors. You can see what booths they're in, a little bit about them. You can see the schedule of events. You can click on an event and get your iPhone to alert you an hour or 15 minutes before the event. So there's a tie-in with the alert system on your phone. And in reality, it's actually easier to use than carrying around the magazine, the booklet that goes with you get with the show. So I would suggest that you actually go to the website and download it. It's actually worth it. Go to guidebookapp.com/getit. So guidebookapp.com/getit, and click on one of the buttons depending on whether you've got a iPhone or a BlackBerry or an Android, and it will download itself to your phone.
Well, you'll be beta testing that this year.
No, I've had it running already. But I will be using it at the show too. And it has an interface to Twitter for you people, okay?
You people? What do you mean, you people? You mean we're the tweeple?
Yeah. Well, I see there's something from you and
the tweets.
Our mates at JHP Fasteners. So there's some tweets already there. But it's actually, it's one of these generic apps that really is good.
Well, I can't wait to hear your review of it after the show. I also talked to Jackie Ventura. She was saying that she had downloaded it as well, and she'll be experimenting with it, and I'm sure there are others. So we'll circle back in episode 34 and see how it actually works in practical application. I didn't download it yet, so.
Well, you will.
If you see me just stumbling around aimlessly, you'll know why.
No, if you're doing what I did last year, going backwards and forwards through pages of the little booklet that goes with the show. This is easier, okay?
Does it have the Wednesday 1 hour long cocktail party in there?
Yes, it does.
All right, well, make sure you plug that in and remind me when it's time.
I've done it already, okay?
Thanks. You're always watching out for me, buddy.
I know. Yeah, all you have to just make sure my phone's still working.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that monkey wrench.
Right.
I better download this thing, man.
Yeah, I think so too.
Well, that sounds very, very good. And before we move ahead to the Fastener News Report, we'd like to thank you all again for listening and for sharing Fully Threaded Radio with your coworkers, your friends. And the show's really growing, and your help is making a big impact on that, and we sure do appreciate it.
Yes. And thanks also to our title sponsors, Beacon and Stelfast, and to Volt Industrial Plastics for sponsoring Mike's report.
That's right, which is coming right up. Just before, I almost forgot about this. Last year we were talking about fastener tattoos.
Oh, God, I thought you were going to lose that.
It comes up later in the show again, so I just figured I'd throw it out there. I actually did a little hunting around, and it turns out that if this map that I was looking at is accurate, there's a parlor called Iron Horse, which is the nearest to the Venetian, and you're expecting to pay about 100 to 150 per hour, which they could probably get some kind of a tattoo along the lines of NIFS West 2011 in that period of time. So,
right. So these are really very upmarket tattoos, okay? Even more so than the ones in the Mandalay Bay. Remember, I was looking at the people who were getting their tattoos done, and you had to walk past them every time we went to the convention floor.
Did you see any fastener people in there?
No, I did not. No, they're in a hurry to get to the exhibition, I think.
And who could blame them? And we're in a little bit of a hurry here, too, because we're going to be getting to the Fastener News Report. And why don't we do that right now? Here's Mike McNulty.
Thanks, Brian and Eric, and greetings to all the Fully Threaded Radio listeners out there. This is Mike McNulty from Fastener Technology International Magazine, bringing you the Fastener News Report. Well, guys, the leaves are turning and falling here in Ohio, and there are many things for sports fans to enjoy this month, including the movie Moneyball, the demise of both the Yankees and the Red Sox, and football games at all levels. Even with all of these distractions, I am still focused on the fastener industry, and I am ready to travel to Las Vegas for the big fastener show next week. I'm also happy to report that this edition of the Fastener News Report is sponsored by Volt Industrial Plastics, makers of the world's finest plastic fasteners. Today's top story is that Heads and Threads International has re-entered the industrial fastener market as a new company headed up by President Bill Marthens and Executive Vice President Gordon Anderson. Also in today's report are 6 newsmaker headlines and the back page report featuring commentary on battle lines. We will get to all of that and in the Heads and Threads story right after this.
Volt Industrial Plastics is the source for all your high-quality plastic fastener needs, and customer service is their #1 priority. With almost 1 million fasteners in stock and same-day shipping on stock items, Volt Industrial Plastics carries inventory so you don't have to. Volt manufactures everything in-house from over 125 different materials, and they're proud to say 100% of their products are American-made. And of course, custom tooling and in-house bagging is available. Contact Volt online at www.voltplastics.com. Volt Industrial Plastics, makers of the world's finest plastic fasteners.
Welcome back. GlobalFastenerNews.com broke the Heads and Threads story, which got a lot of play on Twitter. The new company is headquartered in Dallas, Texas, and it is operating distribution centers in Ohio, Virginia, New York, and Texas. As reported in Fully Threaded Radio episode number 26, Porteous Fastener bought the inventory and fixed assets of the original Heads and Threads earlier this year at an auction. The new Heads and Threads business and executive team will introduce itself to the industry at the Las Vegas show next week. To get some insight on this story, we talked to Jason Sandefur of GlobalFastenerNews.com. Okay, we're talking to Jason Sandefur of GlobalFastenerNews.com. And Jason, I understand you talked to Executive VP Gordon Anderson of the new Heads and Threads International in your reporting on the story.
That's correct, Mike. I reached him by phone at his office in Dallas.
And basically, what are we looking at here? Have they just purchased the name Heads and Threads, or is there any assets involved, or what's the story here?
My understanding is it's the intellectual property, the names, the branding, and so forth. I know that Gordon was involved with Heads and Threads, has been for quite some time. So I think he has an understanding of how they operated before. No inventory.
Did they buy that from Porteous, or did they buy it from somebody else?
No, I believe they bought that at auction. That was one thing that Porteous declined to buy.
Okay. And the background, I mean, originally, Porteous, or it was reported they bought the inventory assets of the original Heads and Threads. And there was also some reporting, I think, that you guys did, that the Heads and Threads had formally gone into receivership. And then there was some people didn't think that happened. Did you ever get an update on that, if that actually happened?
To my knowledge, it did. And that's
happen.
what prompted the auction.
Auction, okay.
Because Porteous actually bought them at auction. Their bid was the stalking horse bid that I believe was an estimated just under $12 million for the inventory and racking systems and other assets.
And then did these guys buy the intellectual property at the same time, or was it done at a later date?
I believe shortly after Porteous acquired the assets.
All right. And did they share any of their goals or plans for the future? Here, I know that you reported that they're going to be unveiling everything in the Las Vegas show. Have they given any heads up on what their plans are?
They haven't. We did report on GlobalFastenerNews.com about the unveiling, the business unveiling, and coming back online. Gordon was a very kind fellow. Said he decided that they would unveil all that information, how they're going to operate, what kinds of products they're going to provide. They want that to be the big surprise for the Vegas show.
Okay. Do they have any other connections to the original Heads and Threads company?
I know Gordon does. In terms of the president, Bill Marthens, I don't know. And at least at this time, they declined to
share that information. They
didn't
give
to,
any
to share
who how many people are on board or anything like that.
Right. They did say they have 4 distribution centers located in the U.S. And
Okay.
they gave the locations of those. But beyond that, they're keeping the other information pretty tight to the vest.
Okay, Jason, I noticed that when you go to the original headsandthreads.com website, that the page that comes up is the Screw Products website. Do you know if the locations of Screw Products are the new location or of the new Heads and Threads?
I don't know that at this time. Gordon Anderson did say that their web presence is still in the development stage. They hope to have it solidified by the Vegas show. But as of right now, they're operating with the website handt.com.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm looking at the Screw Products website now, and they say they have locations in Ohio, Texas, and Virginia, and that coincides with 3 of the 4 locations that the new Heads and Threads say they're going to be distributing product out of. So
Right. They could have tipped their hand with that.
good. Are you going to be in Las Vegas?
Definitely.
Well,
Yes.
I guess we'll learn some more about this story out there, and we appreciate you coming on the program today.
Happy to do it, Mike.
Now let's move on to today's top 6 Fastener Newsmaker headlines. Coming in at number 6, FMW Fasteners has added 900 series metric nuts and bolts to its e-commerce offering at fmwfasteners.com. Number 5, Worth Service Supply opened its 17th branch and distribution center in Wichita, Kansas, a 25,000 square foot facility. Number 4, Annixter is forming a new business entity, Annixter Saudi Arabia Limited, as a joint venture with Maharian Trading Company in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Coming in at number 3, Military and Commercial Fasteners Corp. opened a new sales office in Goshen, Indiana, to serve its Midwest USA customers. Number 2, Sunrite America Incorporated, a Japanese manufacturer of automotive fasteners, is expanding its 170,000 square foot building in Columbus, Indiana, to 320,000 square feet, which will lead to 100 more jobs for the company by the year 2014. And our number 1 newsmaker headline this episode is that with nearly 600 exhibitors, the National Industrial Fastener and Mill Supply Expo in Las Vegas this month will be the 3rd largest exhibition in the 30-plus year history of North America's largest fastener show. Registration is reported to be approaching 3,000 people. Finally, let's turn to today's back page of this report. We're about 13 months away from the USA presidential election, and some battle lines are being laid out. Statism versus capitalism, government growth in place of private sector health, rich against poor, workers versus the unemployed and the retired, college students against corporations, green energy in favor of fossil fuels, regulations versus free markets and competition, and finally, everyone against the millionaires and the billionaires. The rhetoric is starting to ramp up as our president has rolled out his latest government epiphany, also known as Pass This Jobs Bill right away. He and his buddy Warren Buffett followed this $500 billion tax and spend stink bomb with their class warfare campaign for higher taxes on rich people. To accompany this income tax grab, our president has taken to telling Americans to stop whining, stop crying, and stop complaining, while telling reporters that America has gotten a little soft. And finally, we are now being treated to the loopy Occupy Wall Street protest organized against banks, stock markets, and pretty much any group that has money, talent, and or profit-making business products or services. So, what's going on here? I think that it is simply a tactic of diverting attention from the real problems. This is an old trick employed every day by people of all ages and backgrounds when they are caught doing something wrong. In this case, we have 2 basic wrongs being committed. One is that the government is spending too much money, some that does not exist, on things that do not work and are not needed. The other is the issue of too many stifling regulations and controls on all kinds of activities ranging from snack food nutrition to debit card fees to healthcare insurance plans. In other words, the government is the problem, not capitalism, not corporations, millionaires, billionaires, free markets, profit, or success. The government wants us to look elsewhere while it continues to obstruct, waste, and fail. Don't let it happen. This has been Mike McNulty of Fastener Technology International bringing you the Fastener News Report. Be sure to check out the October issue of Fastener Technology International at fastenertech.com or pick up a free copy from booth 144 at the Las Vegas show. And finally, send your news, comments, corrections, or complaints to me at mcnulty@fastenertech.com.
Stay with us, everybody. Next up, it's Joanne Bialas, then it's Lou Boyd on Fully Threaded. When top quality and outstanding service are at the top of your list in fastener suppliers, turn to Stelfast. Since 1976, Stelfast has grown to become an industry-leading importer and manufacturer of the highest quality industrial fasteners, specialty items, and automotive parts. Our array of facilities across North America and in Asia, along with full quality control labs and ISO 9001-2008 certifications, ensure the highest quality parts, and at Stelfast, they're delivered with undisputed service excellence. We're family-run and dedicated to your success. Our customers have come to depend on the expertise of our staff and the quality of our products. We also offer a wide range of secondary services to meet some of the toughest requirements you might have. Contact Stelfast today through our website at www.stelfast.com and put us to work for you. Stelfast. Service you deserve, people you trust.
It's a screwy world out there, what with outsourcing, celebrity apprentices, crop circles, Biebers, Gagas, those shorts that are almost pants, and mimes. But when you think about it, saying the world is screwy is just unfair to screws, which ironically are what hold the whole world together. And the finest screws out there are supplied by Beacon Fasteners and Components. We can say that because our products are laboratory tested. Twice. Beacon Fasteners and Components also has the largest inventory in the industry, including thread forming, thread cutting, high-low tapping, SEMS, sheet metal, and our new machine screws. And they're all available RoHS compliant. Give Beacon a call today and one of our knowledgeable sales staff will guide you through the ordering process. Then we'll track your shipment, which is one less screwy little detail for you to worry about. Visit us at beaconfasteners.com. It's a screwy world, but Beacon is on top of it.
FastenersClearinghouse.com. Search and source from over 500,000 line items, all just a mouse click away and available at no charge. When the need arises, you won't find a better place to locate hard-to-find fastener inventory. It's where you need to be.
This is Joe Truckee of Cal Fasteners, and Fasteners Clearinghouse works for us.
This is Robert Wanzer, and Fasteners Clearinghouse works for American Imperial.
This is Andy Pell from ScrewCrew.com, and FCH works for the fastener industry.
Join the sourcing network now and show your inventory to a whole new market. Turn slow movers into cash. List up to 10,000 line items. Show them to distributors only or to the world. FastenersClearinghouse.com. It's where you need to be.
Once you're in this industry, you're not getting out. Good thing there's Fully Threaded Radio. Talk radio for the fastener industry.
This is JR from JHB Fasteners, the precision fabricators and distributors' #1 source. Come visit us and the Fully Threaded crew on Facebook and Twitter for the latest in fastener news and facts. You're listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
Astute Fully Threaded listeners will remember we left off on the previous episode with a promise for a big announcement. Joining us now, Joanne Bialas is with Tampa, Florida-based International Fasteners. They're the purveyors of Daggers brand construction fasteners, of course. And she's also the president of SEFA, the Southeastern Fastener Association. Hi, Joanne.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm doing pretty well, and we're all excited on this end because I think you promised us a world premiere announcement, and what, pray tell, could it be?
Well, as most everyone knows, we have been struggling since we lost our executive director a few years ago. We've done an excellent job, I think, of keeping the association together and making do with the volunteers at hand. But it was time. It was time. Our membership needed to have that added effort together. And we had talked with the NSDA briefly on and off for this past year about possibly tapping into their resources. And
right, I think we talked about that during our last conversation.
We probably did. We were excited to see if that was a possible scenario for us. And oddly enough, in the course of our task force conversations and board meetings and discussing it, we said, boy, we could really use some influence from some experts in the field of executive directors and management. And so we kind of wound up going in a completely different direction. And that's what we're here to talk about today. We're very excited.
Well, that was a pretty good prelude, Joanne. So I think I could possibly find a drum roll effect, but I don't know if it's might be
No, I don't know about that. But actually, we did want to make the announcement. We wanted all our membership to know that we have been able to come to an agreement, and moving forward this month, we have a new executive director / secretary, and that is Nancy Rich.
Nancy Rich. What an announcement, and I think we have Nancy on the line with us.
Yes, you do.
Hi, Nancy.
Hi, how are you?
Well, I'm well. Well, congratulations. I have to say, I'm surprised I didn't actually know this news myself until we were dialing the number and I saw the familiar area code. Well, a lot of folks know you, of course, from the Midwest Fastener Association, and you do a fantastic job over there. I'm sure you've got a lot of ideas for SEFA as well.
Thanks, Eric. I do, and I'm really looking forward to this. I'm very excited about the opportunity that they're giving me to work for them and with them. And I've worked with, I'd have to say, every fastener association at some point in my fastener career. So this is very exciting.
Now, Joanne, let's just be very clear about what this means for SEFA also. Are there changes in the direction of SEFA with this new announcement? And obviously, Nancy's going to be very instrumental in whatever that direction is, but can you elaborate on that?
For right now, we've been somewhat in more of a holding pattern, trying to continue to provide value for the members and that type of thing. I think we will definitely be able to capitalize on Nancy's experience and continue to grow in the right direction. We've lost members over the years. They've kind of gone away, but then we've picked up a few here and there. But I think Nancy's strong expertise is going to be very helpful in maybe us getting that focus together that we need in moving forward.
Absolutely. Nancy, I'm sure you can comment on this. Just like with the rest of the industry, associations have been feeling the pressure of the economy, and I am sure along with that, it brings added burdens for you.
I have to be honest with you, Eric. I find as an association, it's easier for us to monitor what we do and to adjust to the economy. Yes, we'd like to see things better sometimes, but at the same time, we're not in the business world like the fastener companies. We're not looking at inventory sitting on the shelves. We're not looking at money tied up that we're not getting a return on. So we're very fortunate, at least as the Midwest Fastener Association, and I hope all other associations are feeling that way.
Okay, well, that's an interesting perspective. Now, kind of in that same vein, several associations have managers or directors who are involved in other associations, but in this case, it's kind of a good mix for you because you have two that are right in the same industry, and it seems like there's going to be a lot of positive overlap there for you.
Yes, and I think it'll be beneficial to obviously both the associations I'm working with and hopefully other associations as well.
Right. And just to make clear, there's no formal juncture with this move between Midwest Fastener Association and Southeastern Fastener Association. Is that correct, Joanne?
That is correct. In fact, we are very specifically keeping them separate. I would like to personally thank the Midwest Fastener Association. Their board was aware of the potential and agreed to it, that they felt Nancy would definitely be able to do wonderful for both their association and ours. But at the same time, there's no alliance or merger or anything like that. They will continue to be separate associations, just managed by the same individual.
Got it. Well, congratulations to that board for keeping everything under wraps, because I could tell you from this vantage point, there was not a breath of this. However, in contrast, everybody's going to be out in Vegas pretty soon, and I think this is going to be one of those topics that you keep hearing about. And Nancy, I suppose you'll be dividing your attentions out there.
I am looking forward to Vegas, and it'll be a great opportunity for me to meet more of the SEFA members. I do know some because obviously we have overlap in the two memberships, but yet I can meet more at this time, one place, one opportunity.
Right. Well, that's what the shows are good for, among other things, which we won't discuss here. But maybe we'll talk to you guys out there and bring you on for the next episode. We hope to do a little bit of a roll-up during the next episode. So, well, I thank you both ladies for being with us for this segment, and Joanne, Nancy, giving us here at Fully Threaded the chance to break the news. I think that's our first world premiere ever.
Oh, well, I'm glad we could help you with that.
Joanne Bialas and Nancy Rich with the Southeastern Fastener Association announcing once again that Nancy Rich is the new executive director of that fine association. Thanks again, ladies.
Thank you.
Domestic manufacturing and offshoring have been the topics of many conversations on this program and throughout the industry recently. Joining us now to add his perspective to the discussion is a gentleman with many years as a full-line distributor, serving the Silicon Valley with electronic, commercial, and aerospace fasteners. The Olander Company is based in Sunnyvale, California. Lou Boyd is the purchasing manager, and he joins us now. Hi, Lou.
Hi, Eric. How are you?
Doing well, thanks. Say, we were talking the other day about business in general, and we wound up going down a few different paths. Next thing you know, about an hour had flown by, and I really wished we'd had the recorder going, because you had some comments on trends that I noticed a lot of other distributors could probably identify with.
Yeah, we touched on a lot of subjects in an hour.
It's amazing. It must have been a slow order day, I'm guessing.
I had already done all my purchasing.
Good. Well, in any case, we had a great talk, and hopefully we can capture a couple of the thoughts that you brought up. You know, one of the things you were talking about is a lot of times people refer to the 90s or even the early 2000s, and they compare today with those trends. But what you were saying, you're paying attention to some trends of just a year or two ago and measuring what you're doing based on that.
Yeah, really, the business in Silicon Valley has changed so much in the last 3 years, from products that are being used to the customer base. The high-tech industry has lent itself to offshoring very readily, and away they go.
And one of the phenomena there that you've found, I guess, too frequently is this situation where people are requesting prototype quantities and the later promise of production quantities, I guess, and,
right.
And that's all changed a lot, hasn't it?
Oh yeah, years ago you would get a quote for a few hundred pieces, maybe even 1,000, but they would tell you, well, this is a prototype. Production will be coming through in another 6 to 8 weeks, and you could ask, well, what is production quantities, and you get an idea. So you know how you can either help the guy or you have to say, well, geez, I have to buy 10,000 minimum, so on and so forth. Well, what's happened over the last 3 or 4 years is you don't get that window into production because production probably isn't going to be done in the U.S. It's either Mexico or Asia or, it's offshored. So if there's any volume to anything, it's going to be offshore at some point from what we're seeing. There's very little that stays here when it gets into volume.
It's interesting because in a lot of sectors, and you hear a lot of people talking about maybe the departure is kind of coming to an end, and maybe we've hit a break-even point, but that's not what you're seeing.
I haven't seen it yet. In fact, we just got word, that's why my Monday wasn't going so good, is I just got word this morning that one of our stocking programs that we had is going to Asia. So we'll see if we can either follow them over. Now, our history with following accounts over is you'll have a tendency to hold on to them for a period of time. Eventually, they're going to buy from somebody over there, generally. Some of our proprietary lines that we do sell overseas, we try to maintain those relationships, and we do maintain that because of inventory levels, and we are carrying, the brand names that are being requested on prints and so on and so forth. But when it comes down to your basic fastener items, unless there's something proprietary about it that makes it a special, they're going to shop it out and buy it over there generally.
And you were talking about brand items, brand name items. Is this the same? I mean, are the relationships the same with the brand name companies, or is that dynamic shifting as well?
Well, we see that shifting too, because as you know, a lot of the brand name companies have got online sites, and they have offshore distributorships. They have authorized distributors in Asia and in the UK and so on and so forth. So it's really gets down to, on a lot of that stuff, is inventory. And that's why in certain areas we maintain high inventory levels to cover that, because, the factory is going to be quoting you 12 to 14 weeks. Most distributors won't have the inventory. I've run into situations just in the last 3 or 4 months of jobs that were over there, and now the volumes have dropped, so they're coming back here. But I haven't seen usage on that item for 7 years. And all of a sudden you have somebody on the phone looking for, a usage that you sold 7 years ago. And of course the factory's out 12 weeks. And, now you're headed right down that slippery slope again.
Right.
Meaning you're going to have to quote them 12 weeks. And, you try to explain, hey, if we had a window onto this, or, back in the spring when you knew this job was coming back, if we had gotten word, your bill of materials that you needed some of this product, we could have done something. But to call us out of the blue and expect to get something, within the next week or two is unrealistic in today's world. Most manufacturers have gone the way of most customers, just in time, meaning when you order it, we'll make it. And my customers say they'll order it when they need it. So, the stocking distributor has some value in the marketplace, but it's tough figuring out what these people really want, because there is no communication. Their communication to us is, I need it, and I need it now.
I was going to ask you about that. Really, the communication is the cornerstone of the just-in-time philosophy. I mean, you can't really expect it to operate well without those open channels. And what you're saying is that that's gone away.
Well, in fact, my wife happened to work at Hewlett-Packard back in the early 70s, and they were one of the founders of, or not the major proponent of, the just-in-time buying method. And she brought home a little booklet one time that discussed about to their purchasing people what they were looking to get out of it. And in the cover letter, it said that don't expect to get better prices, because all your costs that we're driving down are in hidden areas that you can't really, show an invoice for. There is no actual cost. It's in how many orders you place, how many items do we have in the system that we have to maintain, so on and so forth. That has since turned over to where a lot of these companies don't have any inventory at all, and they're going to buy what they need when they need. And that's where we are today. But, back when it started, it was all about, communication with your suppliers, communicate with your customers. Hey, I buy these in, quarter keg quantities. Geez, if you can see to make that, we can save you on some shipping costs, and so on and so forth. And you would get real dialogue going. But here in the last, 20 years, that has eroded to where there is no communication other than, like I say, when somebody calls up and says, I need it now. And that's the way they want to handle it. And again, they're the same way that, the suppliers are. They're the customer. They're saying, well, we don't have an order in hand, so I can't order 50,000. All I know is I need 3,200 today. And you can ask until you're blue in the face as to, well, what are you seeing for next week or next month or something? And you don't get anything. So you're, again, getting back to being a stocking distributor is real tough, because there's no firm information that you can, go on this stuff. And when it comes to the prototypes, and like I said, in years past, that could actually work into something very nice. If you knew the customers knew general numbers as to what it might be or what it's going to be, it would give you some idea into your purchasing methods and how you want to price the item. Now, somebody's going to call you out of the blue for a quantity, and you don't know if that's all they will ever need, or if that's just the start of a program, or is just to bail them out while some other suppliers trying to get them the 80,000 they need. So, and it's back to that game. So a lot of it hasn't changed over the years. It's just that, here we have all these wonderful communication methods now between, internet and email and LinkedIn and Twitter and all this stuff. But that's the last thing as a distributor that we get from customers, other than, like I said, a request for product now.
Right. It seems like more and more people are recognizing that paradox.
Yeah. So, I mean, in one sense, I like it that way, because being a stocking distributor, that gives us a real opportunity. But at the same time, trying to stock with these people are, when there's no communication, you just don't know. I'll go back to that item that I was telling you last time I bought this item was in 2004, and I bought 7,000 of them, and we hadn't bought any since, and I still had, 600 or 700 left in stock from 04. And a customer called us, a good customer of ours called us and wanted like 6,000 of these. And I said, well, standard lead time with the factory, that's a made-to-order item, is 12 to 14 weeks. And I could hear the phone hit the floor, and the girl fell out of her chair and said, well, I need these by the end of next week. And I said, well, I don't think that's going to happen. It was a proprietary item. So I got a hold of the factory and talked to them. I said, geez, do you show selling any of these anytime recently of somebody who might have inventory on them? I said, well, there's the Olander company, of course, and then, and that was back in 04. Well, I do see one in 06 that we sold it overseas. And I said, let me guess, it was like 6 or 7. Oh, yeah, it was 7,000 pieces. So here was a job that was over there. I had no clue that it went over, knew nothing about it. So here the job comes back, because now it's not number 1 product, it's number 2 product or number 3 product. So it's fallen on the list of volume. So they decided to bring it back. And they're going to buy it as needed instead of buying it quarterly or whatever. So here somebody calls up and wants 7,000 of these, and and they got the job. They knew it was coming back in April, but I don't get a call until August that here's what we need today. So again, it gets back to communication. I said, well, I appreciate the fact you need these by the end of the month, but when did you have your bill of materials on them? Well, we had it back in April. Well, it would have been nice if somebody had gone over that and given us a heads up. I mean, and this customer's at a level where if I had got a sniff that they might use them, I just would have gone ahead and bought them and be done with it. And just, that's kind of the way I operate for our A-list customers, if you will.
Right.
And it's worked out, tremendously over the years. But like I said, now the communication thing is broken. A lot of companies used to have planners, schedulers. Those aren't even around anymore. The buyer is it. And the buyer's so busy taking care of purchasing that who's got time to plan or schedule. So it's it's kind of a catch-22. You as a stocking distributor are trying to be ready for the marketplace, but the marketplace doesn't tell you what they need until they need it.
Sure. And a lot of this is also stemming, don't you think, from just pure uncertainty. I mean,
Yep.
if you can't rely on your orders being the distributor, or you can't rely on your orders up the pipeline as the manufacturer or whatever it is, I mean, that all comes back to uncertainty, doesn't it?
Well, and that's what we saw after the year 2000, after the crash of 2001 and 2001 through 2003 was exactly that, where huge corporations had orders scheduled out the kazoo, and they were we need 600,000 every quarter and so on and so forth. And boom, here comes the fourth quarter of 2000, and all those companies call you up and say, oh, by the way, we want to cancel the balance of the order. Oh, no, and by the way, what you shipped us for the last quarter, we're sending back. So, yeah, that's a little bit of uncertainty, and we haven't seen a move off of that since. I mean, that's the way they kind of handle it now. If you want to go on your own, and when we write contracts now, it's strictly on the proprietary items. You're guaranteed to buy this. These are the quantities they feel comfortable with guaranteeing to buy. And we have run into situations where, we've been sold or that line has been discontinued. And we say, well, here's the list of the proprietary items that we were inventorying for you at the levels that you requested. So here's the invoice, and we'll ship them over or do whatever you want, with the product. But you have to be careful on that, because if it's, even standard items. I mean, we had an item on there that a customer had given us an order for 800,000 and canceled after it got about halfway through. Well, 400,000 of these, even though it's a standard item, is like a 4-year supply for me. So, just to say it's a standard item doesn't necessarily it's okay. And this is when we get a hold of somebody like FCH and say, hey, I got 400,000 of these. What can I do with them? So, but yeah, we have seen just a dearth of information. We build our business on that information, and it was not looking for guarantees. It was just looking for whatever bit of information we can gather to better serve the market. So when they call up and say, I need, you can say, yes, I have.
Right. You were telling me about another scenario, and I have to imagine it's not isolated to the Silicon Valley, but it was a situation where as some of these companies were leaving the U.S., you would find that you were actually doing business with several subcontractors who were building components, and you didn't actually realize that they were all feeding off of that one company that had just left.
That was very prevalent in the telecom industry, where you might have a large OEM speccing in jobs or purchasing jobs from 8, 10, 12 different shops. So when you look at an item and say, well, geez, I'm selling these to 15 different companies every month, I'm somewhat protected on the volumes I buy. Well, then when that big corporate entity all of a sudden has a design change or decides that, well, this is going to be made in Mexico now, all of a sudden you lose business from 12 shops. Out of those 15, 12 of them were doing the same job for the same OEM, and away it goes. So here, and we've gotten better at that, with tracking and finding out, that gets back to knowing your customers too. So we've gotten back to knowing our customers a little bit, and who. So when you read something in the paper that, this corporation is now moving their manufacturing to Mexico, well, you have a good idea. Well, I know what items they use. And, you come in the next morning, you start jumping on those and saying, well, what's going on here? But yeah, it's tough to track all that, because you're just, selling product, as quick as you can. And so, especially back in the heyday, in the last 3 or 4 years, you don't see much of that, but you still do see some of that where they're splitting up the jobs, and you're trying to find out, well, who are you doing the work for, so on and so forth. But a lot of this is such small quantity now that it doesn't really matter. The big volume stuff, like I said, is gone. You don't even really get a chance to quote on it.
And we don't have crystal ball, but nevertheless, we're famous for asking these crystal ball type questions on Fully Threaded. And so what do you see for Silicon Valley, just in terms of the fastener distributor landscape in the near future?
Well, in the near future, I say it's going to be pretty darn tough, because the economy's got to turn around. Specifically here in Silicon Valley right now, what drives the valley is semiconductor business. And semiconductor has always been a very up and down market. Over the years, they would have, 2 or 3 years up and then a year and a half down. But those cycles have gotten a lot closer and a lot shorter. But it's always been an up and down. They flood the market with chips. And then when the market gets flooded, then all production stops. And they go back to design and development, and, depending on how long it takes to clear out the market, they'll come out with their next product. And away you go for a period of time. Like I said, a year and a half, you might be on the upswing. But like I said, over the years, over just the last few years, instead of a year and a half, you're seeing cycles of 4, 5, 6 months. And, in our business, in the fastener business, and some of the stuff, to import it, it's going to take you 3 or 4 months to get it in. So, again, when you do get into those situations where you have an opportunity with the life, the life cycle of some of the products are very, very tough to deal with. By the time you get them ordered and received, that's their life cycle. They're gone.
So it sounds like the best that we can ask for right now is to keep building that customer knowledge and keep hanging tough.
Yeah, customer knowledge is key to all this. Just knowing, what markets your customers are serving, keeping track with. I know it's a little tough to know everything about every market out there, but again, just being aware of who your customers are, what type of markets they serve. Here, over the years, a lot of our business went into the sheet metal and fabrication shops. Well, those have been decimated because, number one, you had a lot of not downsizing, but you had somebody like a Sanmina who comes in and buys, 32 different shops in the valley. All good small mom and pop shops, but you were dealing with all 32 of them, and now, boom, they're one big corporation, and yes, you get a piece of the business, but when a company like Sanmina decides, well, this job we're going to make in Singapore, and this job we're going to make in Ireland, and this one we'll make in Mexico, and you don't have control over what they're going to do with that, it's a little scary. But yeah, in the near future, I do see we'll be lucky to hold on to with what we have left. Without the economy turning around, with most of the business activity we see now is cost driven, meaning if somebody can save a penny on something, they're going to save that penny. So it's been real tough, and I don't, in the near future, the next year and a half, I don't see anything to change that. We're just, sort of hoping we don't slide back the other way, which I'm sure the whole country is, thinking about.
Oh, you got that right. Well, you've been in this industry a lot of years, right?
40 years now.
How many years have you made it out for the Vegas show, just out of curiosity?
Well, I started at the original show in Columbus, and I went to, I think I might have missed 2 shows in Columbus, and then once it moved to Vegas, I've been there, I believe, every year now.
Fantastic. So you're going to be heading out this year, of course.
I'll be heading out there this year, and I'm sure I'll stop by and see the FCH booth.
Oh, we sure do appreciate that if you do, and we'll be in 151. I think we pointed that out earlier in the show. But now here's a question I have to ask you. In all your years of doing all these shows, there are a few wild and woolly times that result. Have you ever known anybody to kind of hang out at one of these strip tattoo places and get a Fastener-related tattoo during one of the shows?
Not that I've seen, but, that brings in, maybe I'll sit at the entrance and ask everybody, okay, you got a flash if you got it. That'd be a good opening line, huh?
We've been watching for anybody with Fastener ink, and I don't know that we found anybody so far.
Well, I tell you what, I'll help you in your search. I'll keep my eyes peeled.
So I'm taking it from that response that you don't have any plans to get inked this time around.
Not this time, no. Well, it depends on how much I have to drink on the opening night cocktail party, but usually I'm pretty good about that.
Well, you only got an hour on the house, my friend.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, Lou Boyd, you are the purchasing manager with Olander, and you're out there in Silicon Valley, and sure do appreciate the analysis that you've shared with us.
Well, I hope somebody gets something out of it. We don't really work in a vacuum. We all have the same types of issues. This is what is brought up at the PacWest meetings and the NFDA meetings and all the association meetings around the country. Is we all have similar problems dealing with business in general. So it's nice to have a forum to where you can hear other people and how they deal with some of these things.
Absolutely true. Well, thanks once again, Lou. We'll see you out in Vegas.
All righty, Eric. Take care.
Up next, it's lifetime Fastener man and third generation Elmo, Charlie Accetta, is fully threaded.
This season, the House of Beacon is pleased to offer its latest collection of nice threads, the Beacon Machine Screw. Sleek and metallic, sturdy and sharp, the Beacon Machine Screw is a revolution in cutting-edge style and clean lines, offering a modern twist on classic proportions. As with all our collections, thread forming, thread cutting, high-low tapping, SEMs and sheet metal screws, the Beacon Machine Screw may also be complemented by a RoHS-compatible coat, an absolute must in Europe and all other discerning corners of the globe. Don't be the last member of your industry to use Beacon Machine Screws. Call 800-669-2658 to request a full catalogue of all our nice threads. Or have one of our highly polished representatives assist you in finding your unique size and style. And should you fail to find the piece that suits you perfectly, Beacon Fasteners will proudly tailor it to your exact specifications. Be the envy of all your competitors with stylish new Beacon Machine Screws. Beacon Fasteners and Components. Nice threads.
When top quality and outstanding service are at the top of your list in fastener suppliers, turn to Stellfast. Since 1976, Stellfast has grown to become an industry-leading importer and manufacturer of the highest quality industrial fasteners, specialty items, and automotive parts. Our array of facilities across North America and in Asia, along with full quality control labs and ISO 9001-2008 certifications, ensure the highest quality parts, and at Stellfast, they're delivered with undisputed service excellence. We're family-run and dedicated to your success. Our customers have come to depend on the expertise of our staff and the quality of our products. We also offer a wide range of secondary services to meet some of the toughest requirements you might have. Contact Stellfast today through our website at www.stellfast.com and put us to work for you. Stellfast. Service you deserve, people you trust.
Thanks for calling FCH, sourcing network for the fastener industry. We'll call you right back.
Hello, FCH. This is Crawford calling again. Listen, you boys helped me out a few weeks back, and we got all the right fasteners we needed. But that whole nuclear project, it turned out to be not such a good idea after all. That's a long story, though. There was a hang-up with the IAEA. The IAEA, oh, you know, that International Nuclear Regulatory thing. Actually, we should probably pull out of there, but we're there for at least 10 years, I'd say. Anyway, I'm back at the ranch, and one of the Secret Service guys was mentioning something about stud service. And I was using the Google machine on that, and they were saying you guys knew something about those. The fully threaded kind. Listen, get back to me right away, because you saved my butt last time, and you guys are great. You can use that same email address, crawfordstud@gmail.com. May God bless America and FCH too. I'm GW, and I approve this message.
This is Dave Hunt from Mid-State Specialty Sales in Moline, Illinois. We're nuts and bolts about you. You're listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
We make sure to check Traveling Salesman's Fastener blog regularly here at Fully Threaded Radio. You can find that at www.fastenerblog.net. And there was a guest post on the blog dated October 2nd entitled A Voice from Fastener No Man's Land. And it was written by a guy named Charlie Accetta, a self-described fastener man for life, poet, and technophile. I'd add to that philosopher as well after reading some of his posts on his blog, and we'll talk about that a little bit. Charlie Accetta joins us now. Welcome to Fully Threaded, Charlie.
Thank you, Eric. Thanks for having me.
Well, we tried to get this set up for a while, and it just seemed like a great time. And you're a fastener guy, aren't you?
I am. I live and breathe it, even though I'm not a part of that industry right at the moment. I still connect with Traveling Salesman's blog from time to time. I try to stay connected with the publications, and it's a part of my life.
Well, we're going to talk about that a little bit in conjunction with this blog post that you did, which is really thoughtful, and it's kind of a departure from what we really see out there on his blog and also, I guess, in the rest of the fastener media. But I guess I got to ask you first now, you make something of a point of this in your numerous media endeavors. You're a third-generation Elmo.
That's me. Yep, Grandpa was the first Elmo. My dad got stuck with the name somehow. And after an argument, they plugged it in as my middle name because my mom did not want any part of having a kid named Elmo.
Right.
Okay.
And so your website is Charlie Elmo, and that's also the handle that you post to Twitter under now.
Right. That is my pseudonym for Twitter, but usually I don't like posting under a pseudonym. I like to identify myself, and I do on TS's blog and in other areas too.
Right.
But the Charlie Elmo thing is just it's a unique thing. It's unique to me. Nobody else has it. I don't have to put a number in front of it, and it's me.
Right. Well, you're really transparent. It's more like less of a pseudonym and more of a handle, I would say, or a nickname.
Pretty much, right. I'm not hiding.
Yeah. I had a buddy in high school who had a problem with his inherited name also. It was Alcorn.
Ooh.
Yeah, he grappled with it, let's say.
You know, as a kid, it's always tough. The names are always hard as a kid. You've got a good name for a kid. And so does Brian. I mean, these are good kid names, but you get a name like Engel or Elmo or even Charles. People would refer to me as Charles, and it sounded like the chauffeur. So I felt like I had to give people a ride on my bicycle to school every day.
Now, before you go too much into the Charles thing, you should know that was my middle name.
That's a good name. Very manly name.
It's a very, very good name. Now, of course, the reality is this: every male born in the British Empire within a year of Prince Charles had Charles in their name somewhere, okay?
Okay. I didn't realize that.
Right.
I didn't realize that, okay.
So these things, the funny little things in the empire have these things that stay with you for your life. My father insisted it was really because the doctor who was the obstetrician, name was Charles. Okay.
Yeah, it sounds like a real can of worms there, guys. I think we better leave that one right there.
Moving along.
Right, so we don't like the word Charles, okay,
So anyway.
So mentioning the Twitter handle, then, you are probably the most prolific Twitter user that we've ever had on the show. You've got something like 8,600 plus followers at this point. That's a feat. How did you achieve that?
Well, I was unemployed for a year and 8 months, so I had nothing better to do than to work on that. Better yet, I'm more proud of this. I mean, I love my 8,600 followers, but the fact, if you go on Google and start typing my name, by the time you get to the second letter of my last name, I come up as a Google suggestion.
That is impressive.
That, to me, I was working on my SEO so hard to get to that point. I was really proud of that. Because I'm a nobody. I don't do anything except annoy people. And yet, there I am on Google.
Well, that's a theme that's repeated over and over in most of your materials that I was reading, and I don't know if that's necessarily true, but it's definitely some self-effacing thematic work that you're producing there with that. And why don't you tell us a little bit about what users would see if they went out to your blog or out to your Twitter post, because that kind of hooks into what we're going to talk about, what you're writing about fasteners and beyond.
Right. Well, let me start by saying that this being a fastener venue, and I want to be clear about this, I do not blog fasteners or tweet fasteners except on Traveling Salesman's blog. If I've got a fastener-related post, he's got first dibs on it. If he doesn't want to publish it, then I'll do something with it. He's never said no. God bless that man. I really love him. So if
you knew who he was, you'd really like him, though.
Well, I do, but I'm trying to cover for him. So
if you come to the Vegas show, just remember, you have to, every single tree you have to look at to see, is it really a tree or is it the traveling salesman in disguise?
Right.
Okay.
Eric and I were talking about him off air. He is a great guy. He is a wonderful guy, and he's always been very open to allowing me to use his space. So if you read my blog, or if you happen to connect with me on Twitter, I'm usually looking for, on the Twitter stuff, I'm looking for the quick, funny stuff. And on the blog, I'm looking for the longer, generally more serious stuff, but not always. I have a wide area of interests, only because that's how I learned as a kid in school, to be interested in a lot of things. I wanted to be a Renaissance man when I was a kid. Didn't want to be a fireman, didn't want to be a policeman. I wanted to be Da Vinci. And I knew that I had to know everything in order to do that. So I tried. You can't, but you could try. And that's what my blog will reflect. I'm all over the place.
Have you run into any problems with any of your posts? Has it caused you any problems in the fastener world, or just basically in your professional life?
Well, I don't know for certain, but I was out of work for a year and 8 months. So I have to assume that it wasn't really great advertising for someone looking for a job. I could be wrong. It could be just that the economic conditions were such that people couldn't afford a luxury like me, because I am a luxury item for a company. I'm the guy. No, seriously. If you get into trouble,
I'd like to define myself as a luxury item for a company. Right.
Yeah. My point being, if you got into trouble with a customer or a vendor, you sick me on them. I'm like Mr. Wolf from Pulp Fiction.
Oh, I know exactly.
You send me in, and I'll fix it.
Mr. Fix-It.
Exactly. I know exactly who to call, what to do. It doesn't matter what it is. If it's fastener related.
You bring all the cloths so you can wipe the blood off the back window as well?
If necessary, yes.
Right.
I'll hose you down, I'll wipe you down, and I'll get out of town, and I'll get the bodies in the junkyard, all crushed up.
You know, we didn't ask you this before, Charlie. Where are you based out of?
I live on Long Island, New York.
Wow, you don't have that accent. How did you get rid of it?
I was born in the Bronx. I actually spent all of my wonder years in the Bronx. We moved out to Long Island just before the 6th grade. And then when I went to college for that short time, I went up to Olean, New York, which is about 50 miles south of Buffalo. And they speak almost a West Virginian accent up there. It's like a mountain accent. And you start to, you acquire that right away. So when I came back, people would listen to me talking and say, well, you're not from around here, are you? I said, no, I just picked this up. And I stayed with it. I tried to stay with it because it's not as annoying as that Long Island accent.
No. Well, to my untrained Midwest ear, getting back to this whole Mr. Fix-It persona, it seems like it would fit in pretty well to me. But I guess that story that you were telling just now kind of helps us to determine how you made your way into the fastener world after your attempts at becoming the do-it-all Renaissance man.
Well, yeah, because what I was trying to do for the longest time was to write and have a job on the side that really didn't tax my brain and spend my free time, I'll confess, getting high and writing. And what I was writing was free verse poetry because I wanted to develop a writing style before I really started writing in earnest. So it helped me to develop a style. But I realized a year ago that it led me down a really rough path for a writer because when I was doing the free verse poetry, I was doing open mics. So I was reading it out loud to people. So I would write that type of rhythm and cadence to be spoken. If you're just reading my stuff, it doesn't have that impact. And then last year, while I was unemployed, I took a creative writing class at the local community college. And part of the deal was you'd write the essay and then you'd read it out loud to the class. And I'd see people reading it and making faces, and then I'd start reading it out loud, and all of a sudden, their eyes would light up and say, oh, that's it. Okay, I get it now. My problem is that I write to be read aloud.
So, no, I'm understanding this now. There's a natural crossover because when you're looking at fastener inventory, a lot of times you have this tendency to kind of think about it like in an iambic pentameter format, right? And so
well, absolutely.
You're just driven to it.
Fasteners, really, if you look at the variety of fasteners, yeah, it is like music. There is all sorts of different types, and writing is pretty much the same way. Writing can be musical if you do it right.
Right. Having dealt with like 3 or 4 uploads today, it seems a long way from music to me, okay? A really long way. I thought screws that don't have the word screw in them, so the scrubber has no idea what it really is. And these are just minor examples. Inserts that don't say what sort of insert they are. So Brian, this is not music. This is very discordant music to me. Okay?
Well, when it's attached to labor, yeah, I can understand that. But if you do it just to learn, it really is. I think that the whole sector of the fastener industry is interesting to look at for the people that are involved, for the things that they create. One of my favorite people in the industry is a consultant now. He used to be a sales engineer for Abbott Interfast years ago. He's got a number of patents that are in Abbott's name, but he created these fasteners. A fellow by the name of Lon DeHatra. He's based out of Wisconsin, and I got to know him in my time at Mano because he's a consultant for Richard Mano and Company. And Lon has been one of my great teachers over the years, and I could spend hours just sitting on the phone talking to him about fasteners. And that's where the music comes in. To hear somebody like that, to hear an engineer talking about the application, because I think in our industry, we forget about the application. We look at the object and say, okay, that's a screw, that's a nut. We don't say, okay, what's it going into? What's it holding? How long does it have to hold? How is it being installed? Who's installing it? All these little variations that go along with that one screw really make an entire world. everything that I'm looking at in my room right now that, I'm talking from is got a screw in it somewhere.
Right, and that's what engineering is, the art of building things that surround you and you use every single day, and making them so that they're reliable and they don't fall apart.
And it's a beautiful art if you think about it. And that's why I'm so attracted to the Fastener itself. It, not for it, but for what it represents.
That's an engineer's view of the world, actually.
It is, and we really, we sell to engineers. Our main customer, whether you talk to the buyer on the phone, but it's the engineer designating the part. You really need to have an engineer's mind when you're stocking goods, when you're selling them, even when you're just planning what to sell. An engineer is the guy you're selling to.
So what you're saying is the engineers that you deal with in the business, they have their esoteric metaphysical side as well, and that's really what glues it together for you, huh?
Absolutely.
I thought so.
It creates the philosophical base for that little sheet metal screw that we were talking about.
And this transitions into your blog post. And again, the title of that post is A Voice from Fastener No Man's Land. What is Fastener No Man's Land, Charlie?
Well, it's a place where a guy who is really, his soul is deep into the industry and his body is somewhere else, unfortunately. But the blog post was really more towards people who are thinking of switching jobs because they're either tired of the place, the people, the position. There's a million reasons why people are unhappy at their jobs. And I don't think that it being a fastener-related job is a reason. It's got to be something else. So I feel for these people. I know what they went through. I spent 23 years at Tower Fasteners, from sweeping floors and packing screws to dealing with ownership on a regular basis, either as a director of one of the areas, quality or procurement, or I was the quality manager for the ISO system. So I had that background as well, and that access to ownership through that. I had a lot of opportunity to make a difference at the company. But in the end, it just felt as if this was going to be it. And at the age I was at the time, I felt like I could do something else. So I made a deal with the devil. I made that move, and I paid for it. Less than a year and a half later, I was out, and a friend of one of the owners took my job a week later. So it was just one of those things. The economy didn't help me. I left at a horrible time because we hadn't bottomed out just yet, but 3 months after I got there, we did. And it shouldn't have been a reflection on me, but let's face it, you're there, the poop hits the fan, It's your fault. So I tried to work my way through that, couldn't do it, ended up getting fired for the first time in my life, which was a shock. And because of the economy, being in a position where there really were no other jobs left. There was nothing available. So I wrote this blog post as a warning to those people who were thinking about making a move, just to cover their bases and to understand, what kind of emotional issues are going to be involved when you leave a company, especially when you leave a company after one I was as long as I was at Tower, 22 years. If you leave them, it's like getting a divorce.
Yeah.
It's that hard.
Yeah, I mean, I left a company after 18 years. I traveled around the world with them. I think one of the problems is it upsets you how easily you really are replaceable, okay?
Well, this whole experience has been the most humbling experience of my life. It has been.
Right. I mean, you after 20 years, you sort of you're in the view of being irreplaceable. And the fact is that the way companies work, they can't afford to have irreplaceable people. Right. In fact, if you're irreplaceable, you have to be replaced.
Well, but it's a funny thing. I had a specific philosophy. Whatever job I had was that the person right below me, I wanted him to take my place.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted always to have somebody who could step into my job so I could move up. It made it that much easier for them to say, okay, here's a new responsibility for you because we've got somebody to fit in. So I always trained people under me. I would always pick I try to pick the right person. And I would tell them, I'm training you to take my job.
Right.
I want you to take my job because that's the only way I'm going to be able to move up. Otherwise, I'm stuck here. And I reached a point at Tower where there was no place to go.
And then you kind of say something else in this post as well, and that is kind of very pertinent to the fastener industry, because not only did you lose the safety of a job that you'd had for a long time because you were basically taking a risk, you were going for the gold ring,
Right.
but you also went to a long-term hated competitor.
Oh.
Not that the company's a bad company, but it's just that, hey, it's competition.
No, they hated this guy. Oh my God. Oh, jeez. And I didn't, I knew they did. I knew it. I mean, I wasn't, totally obtuse to the situation, but I didn't realize how much they hated him until this happened. Holy Moses. Holy cow. Wow. And I should have expected it. It was stupid of me not to realize that it was going to turn bad like that. But, yeah.
But you burned the boats.
I didn't intend to. Unfortunately, I just flicked my cigarette and up it went. It just went. Just happened. I'm looking at it. The bridge is burning. I didn't really mean to do that, but
Right.
It's done.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, and that's part of the warning is that all these ties that you have with this company, and for some people, Brian, you spent 18 years with a company. I mean, these people are family, and the next day they're not. It's almost like dying. This was a family. Yeah, this was a family business. I mean, Tom Shannon was the founder of the company at Tower, and Tom was an ex-Marine drill instructor who served 2 tours of duty in Korea during the police action, and he had a unique way of teaching people. I'd go into his office, and he'd berate me for 5 minutes, and then end the conversation with, get out of my office and don't come back until you have an answer. So that's how I learned how to find stuff, because I didn't want to go back into that office without an answer. Let me say, I loved Tom like a dear uncle. I really did, because he was a great man. But he had an interesting style when he was his feathers were ruffled. And his wife was a lovely woman, and still is, Jane Shannon. Jane's cousin John Donovan worked at Tower a long time. Another like Lon DeHatra, John Donovan was a fastener expert that I learned so much from, that I owe so much to. Always generous with his time. These are people that I lost when I left.
Mm-hmm.
Tom had died already, but I lost any contact with Mrs. Shannon. I lost contact with John. I mean, I talked with him on the phone occasionally, but I don't want to really take up too much of his time.
Well, that is a trauma, and I guess you said it before, it's similar to somebody dying. And so what you're saying to people is to just be very, very careful. I have to imagine that in this environment, in this economy, there's probably a lot of people that are taking a second thought about jumping for other reasons, but I guess you make a really good point with this post.
Oh, I've tried to, and I appreciate the reinforcement there.
Well, and just the way that it's written, I mean, I could tell that it was done very thoughtfully, and I think a lot of people will benefit from reading it. So you haven't seen that, folks, please do get out there. Again, it's dated October 2nd, and that's on the Fastener blog.
Thanks for the plug.
So there's been a pain here.
I'm past it now. I think I don't think I could have written this if I was still in the throes of it. I think the only way I could have written this is be able to take a clear-headed look back at it and see what went wrong. Because at some point during it, I say that if people stop talking to you, that's the way it goes. It's your fault. You created the situation by leaving.
Right. It's made it tough for them.
Right. Exactly. Yep. You've made it tough for everyone, and
yep.
You have to accept your level of responsibility in that.
Sometimes people could make the argument that you go out of your way to take it on the chin, Charlie. There's a little bit earlier in the same blog, I forgot what the exact post was, but you said some things that were taken a little bit, I don't know, possibly extreme when you were talking about what was going on with China and
yep.
the way you see the tea leaves right now.
I was accused of being smug.
Well,
about our grand old country.
Well, it is a great country, but I tell you, regarding the regarding the post and talking about China, just to kind of give us a little more fodder for conversation here, I was reading on the American Manufacturing.org blog today. There was a comment that might ring true to you. Thought of the day: starting a trade war? You got to be kidding. And it was based on a Reuters report that said the last night's Senate vote. Of course, they're voting to discuss the possible legislation to do something about China and their currency valuation. And
Right.
the comment was made by China that it could launch a trade war.
Right. Well, the manipulation of the yuan has been going on for 15 years now. We knew it all along. I mean, Treasury knew it. The Fed knew it. Everybody, IMF knew it. Nobody did anything about it. You know why? Because everybody was getting cheap color TVs out of the deal.
Right, I know. This is the problem.
And there is nothing more attractive to an American male than a cheap color TV. The Chinese set up this little box. They put a stick, and they lifted it up, and they put a string on a stick, and they stuck a little color TV in that box, and we all walked into the box. They pulled the string, and we've got our color TV, and we're trapped. And that's what's happened. There's nothing we can do about it now. They have all the dollars. We don't want the yuan because it's been devalued. The only thing we can do to China to make them pay is to devalue the dollar, which is what we've been doing. I don't think anybody's even been noticing that. But the dollar has been going down and down in value as we're dropping the interest rates. The bonds are worthless now. And who was the first guy to complain when Standard & Poor's downgraded the U.S. bonds? China, because they're holding all the money.
Right. But it's not only, it's quantitative easing that's devalued the dollar as well. I mean, this is just wild-ass printing of money.
Right. Exactly. And well, that's what China was doing with the yuan. That was exactly what they were doing. Besides that, everybody who was a multinational company who wanted to do business in China had to do business strictly in their currency. Think about that.
So you're taking a little bit of flack for this, but you're also saying that taking it to the next step, that this is going to result in something not too good in the next couple of years, right?
My feeling is our only way out, and I'll cover this in a blog entry on my own blog at some point, but I'll give you a quick overview. Our only way out truly is going to war with China. There is no other economic escape for us except to erase the debt. And the only way to erase the debt with China is to stomp on them. Let me explain, first of all, why the circumstances favor this type of outcome. Our relationship with Pakistan, which was so wonderful for so many years, has gone in the toilet. Who's the happiest about that? That would be India, sitting on the southwest corner of the Chinese border. Vladimir Putin is running for president next year. It will most certainly win. There's only one country he hates more than the United States, and that would be China. So the enemy of my enemy is my friend type of deal is going to go on there. China is going to be looking three ways. They're not just going to be looking at this the China Sea. They're going to be looking at their southern border at India. They're going to be looking at their western and northern borders around Manchuria with Russia. They've got more to worry about in terms of spreading out their forces. That's what the Pentagon is looking at right now when they're doing their planning.
Now, Charlie, when you were unemployed, did you, by any chance, find yourself playing a lot of Stratego?
Right. This is...
Well, no, you're making a compelling case. I mean, there's a lot of variables in all this, and
always, it could change overnight. I'm just saying that right now, the path is leading us towards this.
Yeah, but in the end, everyone's got too much to lose. I mean, what you're saying is sort of right, but the reality is China's got too much to lose too. I mean, China's got a huge populace who have tasted what the rest of the world has.
You mean those same colored TVs that he was talking about?
Yeah, the TVs, and they've tasted the cars, and they want them. And a war isn't going to do anything for them.
Brian, that is an excellent point. I don't look at it as a total war. I look at it, we're stirring the pot. What's going to happen is over the next year or so, things are going to get a little tenser. Things are going to be said. The Chinese are always great for popping off and saying stuff that annoy the hell out of us. So, the public will get into marching order pretty quickly regarding, China wants to fight, we'll fight them.
So, Charlie, based on all of this then, can we read into it that you're thinking that the ITC is going to overturn the Nucor ruling?
Well, When I was listening to episode 32, one of the Mark, or whatever his name was, the lawyer, Leonard,
right,
mentioned that two of the commissioners who voted against the tariff penalties might have their post expiring before December 7th. And by the way, isn't that an interesting date that they picked?
Right.
So December 7th, we may have two of those no votes off of the board, which means they only need one more vote, right? They only need a tie for this thing to get pushed back to the ITC. Yes?
Right.
So the two that are appointed could be, thrown in there specifically for that vote.
Well, Charlie, that is provocative. That's controversial. And I guess you're going to elucidate on all of this in your blog coming up. And again, could you give us the URL for that so we can kind of, those of us who want to take this off and can follow you on this thought wave?
All right. So it's www.charlieelmo, CharlieElmo.newsvine, NEWSB, Victor, INE.com.
We will put a link to that up on the Fully Threaded Radio Facebook page in case you didn't catch that, so you can just toggle over there and click on it. And I think I can safely say that this is the first time in Fully Threaded history that we've covered geopolitics so thoroughly on this program. You have your ideas, that's for sure.
It's it's rough being me, These things just pop into my head, and I have to do something with them, so I dump them on other people.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, how are we going to sleep tonight after this?
Okay? It's years in the making. These things do not happen overnight. But I'm just like Eric put it. I'm looking at the tea leaves, and that's where they're pointing.
Well, you close out your blog post that we've been talking about, and you say we use tons of fasteners, nut plates, bushings, bolts, and rivets. And I get to manage all that inventory because I'm a fastener guy, and I always will be.
Absolutely. It's in my blood. I can't get it out. I can't transfuse it out of me. It's just something that really hits home for me.
And I guess that's an okay way to wind down this discussion. Charlie Accetta, we really do appreciate you being with us, and I hope you'll join us again. And once again, folks, we're going to link to Charlie's blog off of the Fully Threaded Radio Facebook page. So if you want to capture any more of Charlie's visions of our impending horror and doom, well...
Yeah, next, Charlie, next time...
I'm laughing like the devil here. God.
Next time we want a different view of the world, okay? War's been averted, and now we have to work out where's the rainbow, okay?
I'm going to do a My Little Pony segment for you guys really soon, and we'll all be happy.
We're going to hold you to that, man.
Thank you, okay?
Okay.
Charlie Accetta, thanks again.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thanks.
We're making a public statement about fasteners here on Fully Threaded, and so far no free pizza. Well, that could change in the final segment, so stick around. Volt Industrial Plastics is the source for all your high-quality plastic fastener needs, and customer service is their #1 priority. With almost 1 million fasteners in stock and same-day shipping on stock items, Volt Industrial Plastics carries inventory so you don't have to. Volt manufactures everything in-house from over 125 different materials, and they're proud to say 100% of their products are American-made. And of course, custom tooling and in-house bagging is available. Contact Volt online at www.voltplastics.com. Volt Industrial Plastics, makers of the world's finest plastic fasteners.
This is Sue Rice with the FCH team. It's my job to make sure that as an FCH member, you receive the highest possible benefit from your participation in the network. Did you know that once you're logged into FCH, you have access to exclusive search tools, site statistics, and tracking information about your inventory and source finder inquiries? It's all just a click away, and I'm happy to walk you through it. If it's time to refresh your inventory, don't worry. We'll run your listings through our scrubber software and get you up and running in a very short time. If you can attach a spreadsheet to an email, you can list inventory on FCH. We can also show you how to optimize your listings to attract the most hits for your type of fastener. Send email to Sue at fastenersclearinghouse.com and let me help you get the most from the FCH sourcing network. I look forward to hearing from you soon.
Hi, this is Hugh Hewitt for the Injured Marine Semper Fi Fund, www.semperfifund.org. Over the past 7 years, twice a year, the wonderful people who operate the Semper Fi Fund and many amazing Marines who have been the beneficiaries of the charities that have supported the Semper Fi Fund, including many thousands of individual donors, have come into my radio studio to tell their amazing stories of serving their country, of being wounded, and how the Semper Fi Fund has helped them make that transition back to recovery. Unfortunately, Bethesda and Walter Reed are full again. More and more men and women are coming back from the war injured, sometimes awfully so. We need the Semper Fi Fund to be there for these Marines and those soldiers, sailors, and airmen who served alongside of them. Please consider a gift to the Semper Fi Fund. Very low overhead, extraordinary capacity to get money where it needs to get in a hurry, and great management, including some of the senior Marines who've ever served under the flag. When you're looking for something to do that will make an impact, please check out the Semper Fi Fund. That's www.semperfifund.org, www.semperfifund.org.
These guys aren't screwing around much. Brian and Eric, Fully Threaded Radio, Internet Talk Radio for the fastener industry.
Hello, this is John Barnhill with the Boat Company of New Mexico. You're listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
Brian and Eric, your free market fastener loving amigos, back with you on the Internet Fastener Talk Radio blowtorch.
Okay, some blowtorch, right?
Well, it's not that big of an industry.
No, you're right.
Not to say it isn't important, though.
That's right.
Well, Charlie is a thoughtful guy. He does a lot of thinking. Actually, speaking of that, I think we still haven't gotten any free pizza out of this deal.
So you really thought you were going to get some? I don't think so.
Well, you keep your hopes up, you know.
Yeah. Right. Well, you cannot say he doesn't really think carefully about it, and I can't say I always agree with his conclusions, but better to have thought, I guess.
Yeah, you guys were all across the board, and we didn't get to play half of what you were talking about, but it was but it was really entertaining, and I hope everybody got a lot of enjoyment out of that. We'll have Charlie back on again for sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. He and I had a lot of, well, all of us had a really interesting discussion, ranging from the French Revolution to the American Revolution to international wars.
And, of course, neatly tying it all back to the fastener industry that we all know and love.
Right.
Next time, maybe we'll focus a little bit on his mastery of the fastener industry as well. And I'll say one thing to kind of wrap up the whole Charlie Accetta segment for this episode, and that is, it's good to know we've got solid people like that now working in our industrial military complex.
Yeah, very much so. That's good.
Well, thanks to Charlie for joining us on the episode. It was good of him, as well as our other guests, and they were Joanne Bialas with the Southeastern Fastener Association, and her surprise guest, the new executive director of that group, Nancy Rich. Also, Lou Boyd of the Olander Company. Great to hear from you, Lou, and look forward to seeing you out in Las Vegas. And let's not forget our Fastener News reporter, Mr. Mike McNulty of Fastener Technology International Magazine, and his guest on today's report was Jason Sandefur of GlobalFastenerNews.com. Hats off to you guys. Keep your noses to the ground, smelling out those Fastener News stories.
And let's also not forget to thank our title sponsors, Beacon Fasteners and Components, Stelfast, and Volt Industrial Plastics. Thank you all.
Absolutely. And to everybody who's clicking in and sharing Fully Threaded Radio with your coworkers, friends, associates, and so forth, you're helping us to really drive this thing along, folks, and Brian and I really do appreciate it. Get with us anytime at the email address ftr@fullythreaded.com. We're out there on Twitter at the handle Fully Threaded. Also, we post links to many of the stories that we reference on the show, and you're welcome to check all that out on the Facebook page. So get out there and search up Facebook, Fully Threaded Radio.
Right.
Before we wind this episode down, I want to mention that on the next episode, which is 34, we're going to try to have some reporting from the show floor of NIFS. And last time we did that over at Fastener Tech, we had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, my memory is we had Mike McNulty hiding behind one of the roof supports, making his recording. Maybe he wasn't hiding; he was just trying to keep away from the noise, I think.
Well, you catch as catch can in those situations, and he did a great job. So
yeah.
I don't know if we'll have him do the Fastener News Report from the floor again, but hopefully we'll find some people who want to play along with the whole thing and have some fun with it.
All right.
So don't miss it, folks.
And we might have to give you a little bit of an update on where to find your fully threaded podcasts if you happen to have upgraded your iPhone to the new operating system. They've all changed.
Now, were you able to do that on your phone, given the state of your phone? And also, I saw a few posts out there saying it was kind of a screamer getting the new OS downloaded.
Yes, well, I have got it done, and I have to say it's through no particular amazing thing that I did, because once I came up with the big error message saying that my whole iPhone had crashed again, it all restored itself correctly. But what used to be the iPod thing that you clicked on to get to podcasts, now it's under music. It's not entirely clear, but everything is still there. I believe the whole method of syncing is all changed up to the cloud automatically, but I can't verify that just yet. But it still works, okay? Seems to work just fine.
So you're all squared away.
Yep.
Well, good to know that as your phone limps along in its finals days, you've got the latest OS on there. And I've got one more screamer to close out this episode for everybody. This one comes to us from the BostonHerald.com website. Headline, Police Rescue Couple with Baby Who Couldn't Find Way Out of Danvers Corn Maze. And there's a good cell phone tie-in on this one too, Bryce. So get a load of this. Dateline, Los Angeles. Getting lost in a corn maze is supposed to be fun, but it turned into a nightmare for a Massachusetts couple who got so turned around they had to be rescued by the police. It all started late Monday afternoon when the couple entered a corn maze at Connor's Corn Farm. After about an hour in the maze, darkness began to fall. The couple, who were there with their 3-week-old baby, could not find the way out. As the mosquitoes started to descend, they placed a desperate call to 911 asking to be rescued. The Danvers police released audio of the call, and the transcript follows. And let me tell you something, Brian, it's not a pretty transcript. However, the good news is they were all rescued, and tragedy was averted in this case, but probably thanks almost entirely to a phone, you know?
Right.
It doesn't say what the OS was. It doesn't actually say even what kind of phone it is, but probably it was an iPhone. You know, you can almost bet on it.
Well, I guess you could say thank God for mobile phones, actually. I mean, hey, I went in one of these corn mazes, and something that no one else in the world except in America would you ever find such a thing as a corn maze, okay? And it's an interesting experience, actually. I could see that you could get a bit lost, but not for like hours or that you'd starve to death. But I think if you sort of had a baby with you and you realized you were lost, the idea of picking your phone out, calling for help, I think is really pretty interesting thought. I would have personally called the people who are running the corn maze rather than 911, but still.
Well, I start thinking about business opportunities here, and I'm thinking maybe there's a whole new market for corn maze overlays with the GPS system on the phone, and think about the opportunities there. You could actually sell that as an upgrade to the whole corn maze experience.
Right, find out where you are at any moment if you get lost.
Exactly.
Hit this button. That's an interesting idea. Okay, I'll go with that.
On the other hand, there's a possible remedy that we haven't considered at this point that ties in beautifully with the theme of today's show.
Oh, what's that?
Well, you could just think.
Right, that is another one, but that'd be missing from most of our experience today, okay?
I agree. And with that, why don't we put episode 33 in the can?
Yeah, right, and keep thinking.
You got it. For Brian Musker, this is Eric Dudas. Thanks for listening. As always, everybody, we'll see you in Vegas, and we'll see you next time.
Fully Threaded Radio is a production of Fastener's Clearinghouse. Music provided by Audionautics.
I can't think of anything else to say at the moment, okay?